And why I love NLP so much is because it's all around understanding how the subconscious works. Because we all set goals, we all want to become our best versions, but unless we actually understand what's going on under the surface, and I mean like deep under the surface, into the real, subconscious part of us, if we don't understand what's going on there, it's very difficult for us to make changes.
That self-awareness is quite uncomfortable. I mean, the time that I've had to start becoming more self-aware, and that's one of the problems. I felt actually a bit depressed more than excited. What's the reason for that?
You have to be brave enough to look at yourself and go, I'm not perfect. I have a lot of flaws. And there's also a lot of darkness. People have gone through bad experiences. They've gone through traumas. They've gone through a lot in their lives. So oftentimes is what do we want to do is we want to just, push it under the rug, not think about it. A lot of people turn to, drinking, other things, because they just want to block it out. And the big thing is we always want to take on too much too quickly. And that is the biggest barrier to getting through to the subconscious mind. Because if I do too much, everything floods in of why I shouldn't do it, and then I don't do it. But if I had to take small incremental steps, like break down the thing that I want to do, the subconscious mind starts to accept that this is normal. It's not like, oh, you're doing something I don't like. It's almost like being distracted. And I say it's like tricking the great trickster.
Quick one, give me 30 seconds of your time. Firstly, thank you very much for taking the time out to watch this video. I really hope that you do enjoy it. And the whole goal and what we want to achieve is getting to know people better through the 4 aspects of their life, through their spirituality, through their health, through their business, as well as their family. So enjoy it with us. And if you do enjoy this, can I ask you one thing, is to please subscribe and keep active and keep watching us. And let's grow this thing in South Africa together. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Wholeful. I'm Sean Davey, and today we're diving into the world of holistic coaching with none other than Jessica Kinnear. Jessica is a life coach, a wellness guru, and basically the kind of person who can help you sort out your life while making you feel like you're chatting with a friend over coffee. Today we're going to unpack how she helps people find their purpose, manage anxiety, and create a life that feels whole and fulfilling. Plus, we'll sprinkle in a bit of humor and some real talk about what it means to be truly aligned to your life. So get comfy and let's get started. So welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, Sean.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah, good to be here. No pressure with the humor, though.
No. We'll keep it to minimum. No, I'm joking.
Oh, you made me sound awesome. Thank you.
But Jessica, maybe we can start off just in terms of, you've been a life coach to me now for quite some time, and you've definitely assisted and helped me with a lot of stuff, and we don't have to talk about my stuff.
Oh, come on, Sean.
Yeah, let's not dig into those things, because everyone's got their problems. But yeah, Jessica, and the inside and the way that you deal with people has been amazing. And maybe you can just start off by just explaining what is a life coach. I think a lot of people are like, oh, a life coach is a psychologist, or what type of person is this? How are they going to really influence my life? But maybe you can explain what a life coach is a little bit about.
Yeah, so I think, if I can take it a little bit back, obviously going through a lot in my life and experiencing many difficult things, I always had a passion with wanting to help other people. Because I'd gone through a lot, I just felt like trying to help somebody else get through things, reach goals, become a better version of themselves. I just always felt a calling towards that because, I always thought, I wish I had had something like that growing up, or at least from when I was in my early 20s. And I felt like if I had a coach, maybe things would have been a little bit easier for me. And so as I got older, I worked for a skills development and training company. And I just fell in love with human development. I absolutely loved it. I would sit on these workshops and, the way people would light up when they spoke about getting rid of these limiting beliefs or balancing your wheel of life or setting a goal and actually reaching it. I just thought, wow, this is something that I, really wanted to get into. And so that's when I started studying life coaching. And yeah, the rest is history. It's, to me, the most fulfilling work I feel anyone could do. And yeah, so if I have to talk about what it actually is look, you can't really put it into one description, but if I had to sum it up, it's looking at somebody's life from a holistic point of view, seeing every single area of, how they're feeling, where their head's at, what goals they want to set. And then my job is to come in and help them set those goals to go from where they are now to where they want to be. And it's not just surface level. So I'm also a neurolinguistics programming practitioner, or NLP. And why I love NLP so much is because it's all around understanding how the subconscious works. Because we all set goals, we all want to become our best versions, but unless we actually understand what's going on under the surface, and I mean like deep under the surface, into the real, subconscious part of us, if we don't understand what's going on there, it's very difficult for us to make changes.
Is that why we do stuff over and over again? Because of subconscious levels. So we consciously decide we're not going to do it, but then we subconsciously kind of still do it, and then we're upset with ourselves because we did it.
Yeah, it's called our habitual behavior. Our brain wants to automate everything as quickly as possible because we've just got too much information flying at us every second. And your brain is here to help you survive, not thrive. Like, that's it. It dates back to the primal days. We didn't sit on a rock thousands of years ago and say, oh, how am I going to become the best me today? We didn't do things like that. All we needed to do was survive. And, that was, be it run from the lion, hide, freeze, where fight, flight, or freeze comes from. So over thousands of years, yes, our prefrontal cortex has evolved. Our conscious mind has evolved, but our subconscious hasn't, in terms of first looking for danger. So that's why we always go back to this comfort zone. We always go back to our repeated patterns, because our brain is going, don't do anything out of the comfort zone. Don't do anything in the unknown, because if you do, there's going to be danger. But it's not true. The problem is we're so deeply wired into believing that it's true that it becomes part of that programming. And that's why people can't change their habits. So my job is then to help them change those habits by rewiring the subconscious mind. And it's so easy.
We're still busy with that. So in terms of, it's really actually, and I read quite a few books on business and about self-development and everything. And something that flows through everything, every successful person, they've got accountability partners. Mm-hmm. Do you see this as being that accountability partner for somebody?
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's very easy for someone to go back to their old behavior because we had this internal voice, and it's that self-sabotage, So yes, I have the intention that I want to change my life and reach these goals, but then this sneaky little voice comes in and says like, oh no, let's start next week. Like, things are really hectic right now, or you just want to sit on the couch. You don't want to go to gym. That is that voice telling you to stay in the safe zone. So when you have an accountability partner or a coach, it makes sure that you are obviously holding yourself accountable, that you actually reach your goals, because now you are answering to somebody else, not just yourself. So it's about a conversation of, do you really want to let yourself down every week? No, you really don't. So a coach will come in and just help you get to where you want to go and hold you accountable. Otherwise, crack the whip.
Obviously, you've got insight to a lot of understanding of how to be accountable, how to build habits, how to build certain things in life that you can keep on doing what you want to do to achieve a specific goal. How do you bring that type of stuff into play for a person that they always want to be achieving something, but they're never getting to achieving something because they just don't understand the basic principles of having grit, starting off with small little habits that will end up over time making a successful event or situation that you need. How do you go about that beginning stages with somebody?
So, yeah, we're the generation of instant gratification. As you know, we want what we want now. And that's the problem is, we want to make all these massive changes, but we want it to happen like this. And when it doesn't happen like this, or you start implementing something 2-3 weeks later, you don't see the change that you want, you go back to that old behavior. It's because we that generation. We want what we want now, and when we don't get it, we just, it's not worth it anyway. And we start telling ourselves, we stop bringing ourselves down, and we feel unworthy. So that's the first thing I would say is you have to be self-aware. So self-awareness is being able to check in with your mindset, observe your thoughts, understand what your weaknesses are, what your limitations are. Because the more self-aware I am, the more I can go deep within my mind, the more I can start catching myself when I start self-sabotaging or holding myself back.
That self-awareness is quite uncomfortable. I mean,
very.
The time that I've had to start becoming more self-aware, and that's one of the problems. I felt actually a bit depressed more than excited. And what's the reason for that?
Oh, honestly, Sean, because looking at yourself in the mirror can be very uncomfortable. You have to be brave enough to look at yourself and go, I'm not perfect. I have a lot of flaws. And there's also a lot of darkness. People have gone through bad experiences. They've gone through traumas. They've gone through a lot in their lives. So oftentimes is what do we want to do is we want to just, push it under the rug,
yeah.
Not think about it. A lot of people turn to, drinking, other things because they just want to block it out. But now when you become a self-aware person, you have to start being honest with yourself. You have to look in the mirror and you have to go, okay, I'm ready for this. And you have to be ready to look at what that darkness is. And it's not pretty, and we're like onions. Once you think I've done all this healing, I've gone to the retreats, I've seen the psychologist, the therapist, all these things, I've done all this work, and something happens in your life and you lose your temper or you go back to your old behavior and you feel terrible. But it's because it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and the healing journey never ends. It'll be constant until the day that you die. But the more self-aware you are, the more you start understanding who you are, and it just becomes a little bit easier and easier. And the key is to have grace and compassion with yourself and to not take life so seriously. We take life way too seriously. So being able to just laugh at yourself, have a little bit of fun, that makes it a lot easier. And also to accept that it is a process. It's not going to happen like this, and it takes time. But that's the beauty of being a human being, because then you learn who you are and you also learn what you're capable of, what your potential is. And then you start realizing that you can do these absolutely incredible things that you never thought you could, like yourself. So,
yeah, I mean, it's quite scary because what happens is you set yourself up sometimes for failure, and then you fail, and then you go back into the cycle, and you never really grow. You kind of stay in the cycle the whole time of never really growing because you're so hard on yourself, and you push yourself to certain limits that you're trying to achieve. I always explain about like setting goals. Now there's different viewpoints on goals. So some people say that you've got to set goals and you've got to know what those goals are, else you've got no direction in life, and set those goals and hit those goals. And then you've got people that set goals, and when they don't hit it, they totally implode, and that's why they never set goals for themselves, because they're so scared of setting a goal and not being able to achieve it, especially for people that are very motivated and want to achieve it, and they're going out there to really go out and smash it, but they don't get to achieve it. So then they go back into themselves and say, I'm useless, I'm not worthy, I can't believe that I can't even do this, I'm so stupid, and start blaming themselves again. And although it's always better to have goals, because if you look at it, I heard somebody once say, which was very interesting to me, because I was going on the stage of going, I don't want to set any more goals. I want to take life and just wing it, because that's the type of personality I am. I love just winging things, and I do far better at winging things. And that's why even on the podcast, I don't prepare usually questions, or I prepare questions, but in the whole interview, I never ask one of those questions, because it's just, I don't want it to come across as if it's scripted. And that's why you'll never get to know what the questions are I'm going to ask you. And but the thing about it is, someone once said to me, and it changed my perception on goals, because I was very goal orientated at a stage, didn't achieve certain goals, and I was like, due to certain circumstances, like one of them was the race I was going to do with the manga. That really set me back big time, because everything that I've usually focused on, I've kind of achieved and gone out and smashed it. And then with the manga, I did all this training in 24-hour cycles and getting all ready for it. And then I had the back issue and I had to do the backup. And they said to me, well, that's not something you can really do again, because if you do it, we've got to do a fusion. So I've just got a disc now. And now I've got to weigh it up. Like, am I going to be stupid and go and still do it? Because if I want to do it, I'll do it. But am I going to destroy my back in the future? And when I'm an old man, I've had 3-4 fusions already because of how young I am right now. And that set me back, because I never achieved that goal. And then I'm like, what's the point of even having these goals? Because something as stupid as a health issue or something anyway is going to mess it up. So what's the point of setting up these type of goals? Because something could come along and just mess it up. But on the other hand, if I didn't have that goal, I wouldn't be as fit as I was at that time. I wouldn't have enjoyed just cycling and doing meditation on the bike and enjoying those times. So I actually achieved a lot more moving forward and not achieving the goal, but I had such a good experience leading up to all of that anyway, which I would never have had if I didn't have set the goal. So my question to you in this is, are goals important to have? And if we don't achieve them, how do we not fall into that blaming ourselves?
Yeah, I think that we put way too much pressure on ourselves. We do that, obviously, because we want to be our best. So we've got to just take a little bit of that pressure off. I think you have to decide what works for you. If you are somebody who has to set these massive goals because you know that if you don't, you're going to fall to pieces or you won't have direction, that's what you do. But maybe you're somebody who doesn't have this massive big goal because it's way too much pressure. Then it's all about what I do every day that just helps me feel better about myself. So I think each person is individual. So working with a coach can help you identify this. But you actually just have to decide. And for me, I just believe in trying to live a life where you feel happy. Like, I just want to be happy. And what does that mean for you? Because everybody's different. Some people it's health, some people it's financial, some people it's family. Everybody has different directions of where they want to go. So if you can maybe figure out what are your values, that's a huge thing, is we don't really think about what our values are, because our values are like our guiding light. They direct us. So if I know that family is the most important thing, and yet I have absolutely no work-life balance, I'm not aligned with my values, because I should be spending more time with my family. If I don't spend time with my family, I start to then maybe get a bit of depression, anxiety. I don't feel so good because subconsciously I'm actually not aligned with that. So I would say, look at what your values are first and see if you're aligned with that. Then decide, do I need to set goals, like specific goals? People use SMART goals, or what's the other ones they use? There's a clear thing. So maybe you want to use an actual structure to set up a goal. And if that works for you, great. But maybe you just want to know the general direction of where you want to go. You need to understand, though, that it runs a lot deeper. And so again, I talk about the subconscious mind. Now, the first 7 years of when you were born are the most formative years. That's how your parents raised you, or your caregivers, is how your programming is set. And then throughout your life is all these experiences bad and good, they all sit in that subconscious. Now, your subconscious mind runs about 90% of your actual behavior. And so that's why when you do set goals, you will have your subconscious coming in and telling you why you shouldn't achieve it or that you should go back to the comfort zone. And when you get that voice of self-sabotage that comes in, it makes you feel less worthy because you haven't achieved something. But you are actually not, you're fighting against, years and years of programming that you're probably not even aware of. So you've got to first become conscious of the unconscious, what you're not aware of. Because if you can learn how to rewire your brain, and you do that through, many different things that we can talk about, but if you can learn how to do that, you can start catching yourself when you start making excuses, or, when you start feeling like you're not feeling so good, you're letting yourself down. You've also got to look at like your energy, the days that I have the most energy or the days that I'll focus on certain things. So you've almost got to do these like hacks. And then the big thing is we always want to take on too much too quickly. And that is the biggest barrier to getting through to the subconscious mind. Because if I do too much, everything floods in of why I shouldn't do it, and then I don't do it. But if I had to take small incremental steps, like break down the thing that I want to do into little day-by-day steps, tiny little, and so you've got to have patience. You have to have patience, otherwise it's not going to work. But if I can take my goals or break them down into micro habits or micro goals and take little steps every single day, the subconscious mind starts to accept that this is normal. It's not like, oh, you're doing something I don't like. It's almost like being distracted. And I say it's like tricking the great trickster of your mind. Because what happens is you see that momentum starts to build. And these little changes happen over time. And you start to feel better. And so training or doing whatever you want to do to reach that goal becomes a little bit easier and easier. But what's happening is the habit is starting to automate. And it becomes almost subconscious or unconscious. You stop thinking about the habit because it just becomes part of your everyday life, becomes normal. So like, I'll give you an example. If you've never trained in your life and now you want to start going to the gym, most people will start going 5 times a week, because they're like, I want to do this now, instant gratification. What happens after day 5 is like, you can't walk. And you think, I hate the gym. I don't want to be here anymore. And you stop going. But if you were to train twice a week for 30 minutes, and not even at the gym, at home, maybe doing like a YouTube video or, if you can run outside, if you were to do that twice a week for 30 minutes, how easy would that be?
Yeah.
Pretty easy, right?
Yeah. But it'll feel like you're not doing anything either, I guess.
Okay. Yes. At first, this is why I say patience is key. Because we're not now trying to, become fitter. This is not the goal. The goal is to automate the habit. So how do we do that? It's mind first, then the rest. We have to do that through those small steps. So if I'm training twice a week for 30 minutes, then after a month, I do 3 times a week. And so I build up like that. Eventually, you won't even think about putting on your training clothes, driving to gym. It will just be like part of your daily routine. Plus, you'll be in the best shape of your life. You'll feel the best. You won't feel like it's this terrible chore, and you might even actually start enjoying it. So that is how you change habits, you reach goals, and you don't feel like you're letting yourself down because you're doing it slowly. But you've just got to decide, wrapping it up, is, am I going to set a big goal for myself, or is it just the daily systems that help me get to where I want to go? And that's the best thing I would say you can do to help you achieve that.
So how do you deal with the different types of personalities? Because you've got different personalities when you're coaching people. So you'll talk to a person that's red maybe, and they'll be like, I know what to do. I don't need you to tell me what to do. I know what I need to do. And then you can talk to a green who'll be like, whatever you tell them, they'll feel bad because they've got to get it done. And then a yellow will be like, we'll get it done, but have a few beers with it first. So, and the blues will be so analytical about what they got to get done that they never get it done. But the thing is, how do you, obviously you bring in your coaching side is, do you look at personalities first? Is that the first part where you start looking and seeing, okay, what type of personality am I first dealing with, and then work it according to those personalities?
Yeah, 100%. So for those who don't really know the colors, we use the Insights Discovery personality profiling psychometric test. So that's what we use. Generally, someone will fill out the assessment and then it'll give them an accurate reading on if they are, we call it fiery red, cool blue, earth green, and sunshine yellow. So that would be the evaluator that we would use to determine somebody's personality profile. And it is incredibly accurate.
And there could be a mixture of it, eh? There's a mixture. Everybody's got a mixture of it.
Everybody's got all 4 colors in them, but it just depends on the situation and also your work persona compared to your home persona. Because we're quite different. Like you probably a little bit different how you are at work than you are at home, right?
Yeah.
A little bit. Some people yes, some people no.
Yeah.
But yes, so we have all of these colors in us. And it's the best thing. For when I'm coaching, it's the easiest way to see, okay, so if somebody is a fiery red, the saying is be bright, be brief, be gone. Fiery reds are very much get to the point, don't waffle on, just give me like bullet points, very confident type of people. So if I'm trying to set a goal with a fiery red, is we're not going to go into like too much detail of how to get there. We just want to know, okay, this is what you need to do. 1, 2, 3. Are you ready? Like Monday I'm doing this, Tuesday I'm doing this. Give it very structured, simple. But I think the biggest thing with the fiery red is they want to see results. They want to see like massive change. They want to get things like done.
Immediate gratification.
Yeah. Well, even more so. Yeah. So we've got to make sure we get rid of all the fluff and we just go, this is what you're going to do, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
If I'm speaking to the cool blues, the very analytical types, they like a lot of information, a lot of detail. So if we set a goal for a cool blue, it's like, okay, I want to achieve this, but then each day I'm going to do A, B, and C, 1, 2, 3. And in between that, this is how I'm going to feel about it. This is what I'm going to do about it. This is how it's going to affect my family. And so we go into a lot of detail about how they can get there. Then the earth greens is the very kind, caring, loving person. So that's kind of my dominant color energy. It's earth green.
Yeah.
And we always want to know how it's going to not only help us, but improve the lives of those around us, what impact we might make, how we're able to serve. So we'll look at it more from that perspective of looking at the bigger picture of how we can be of service. And then the sunshine yellows are the very outgoing, like sociable people, enthusiastic. So yes, let's go for a few drinks and socialize. But for them, goals might be more around including other people. So like if we're doing these big races, some of the things you've done, like, because you've got a lot of that sunshine yellow in you. Yeah. So you want to make sure you've got everybody involved. Maybe it's like a team thing, having somebody accountable. So that's how I would set goals around that. But I think it's very important to understand somebody's personality because it's the best way to help someone get to where they want to go.
And also, I think people must also learn to understand personalities, because like if you're dealing with people in business or people in relationship, if you're in a relationship with someone and you don't understand the personality and you're two opposite colors, I mean, you're going to be clashing the whole time, because you're going to have the fiery red that's saying to the green, why are you being so nice to that person? There's no need to be nice to that person. What are you trying to achieve out of this? And the green's like, but you don't have any compassion or anything like this. And that's how all these fights kind of break out. So there's a book on it called Talking to Idiots or something like that. What's it? It's a book, I think it is. Well, I know it is a book, but it's called, I think, Communicating with Idiots or something. I'll actually look at it now. And then it really just talks, and I think as the more people can get to understand that and how personalities work, the easier life also just gets with just being able to communicate with people, never mind trying to negotiate and do types of deals. So, I mean, as a life coach, I mean, that's a plus to have somebody with you that when you're talking about relationships or you're talking about business problems, is to actually understand these different personalities and to be able to say to the person, okay, this is your personality right now, but you should be using this type of communication to be able to communicate with this type of personality.
Yeah, so it's called adapting and connecting. And it's not about changing who you are. We don't want you to ever change who you are, but it's just about when I'm in a specific situation, this is how first I need to pick up what type of personality that person is. And this is kind of how I need to shift to, I would say, get the best outcome out of a situation. So what are you trying to achieve out of your conversation? How can you adapt more towards that person's personality? So me being an earth green, the opposite type is the fiery red. So when I'm speaking to a fiery red, I don't need to ask them about their whole lives and, all this personal stuff, but I just need to get to the point with them and never make excuses. Don't make excuses with the fiery red. It's just like, say it like it is. I adapt to that style because I know that this is how I'll get the most out of this conversation. And then I go back to being my earth green self. But that to me is making conversations more productive, getting what you need. And we don't have a lot of time. So we've got to make sure we just get things done. But I see a lot of it where I find insights very effective is in leadership. So I do a lot of leadership facilitation. I work with a lot of corporates and executives and CEOs, and I find that insights and emotional intelligence go hand in hand because a lot of these leaders are where they are. They're very good at what they do technically. They've got all the skills, but a lot of them don't have the softer skills, or we call them essential skills because it's not soft skills, they're essential. And it's all around emotional intelligence and combining that with insights, because it's one thing me understanding your personality, but if I'm not self-aware, if I don't know how to self-regulate, which means being able to calm myself down in a stressful situation, it doesn't matter. So as a leader, I've got to learn to be emotionally intelligent, get in touch with myself, calm myself down, understand my staff, adapting to their personalities when I'm leading them. Or also is how I lead an earth green is not how I'm going to lead a sunshine yellow. Yep. So as a leader, it's being able to adapt to that, to make sure that my staff are happy. Because yes, at the end of the day, the job needs to get done. You need the results. But if the people are not happy, if the people are not fulfilled, they are going to leave. So that's a really big part of what I do now is working with leadership teams to help them to understand their people through EQ, through insights, so that everybody can, get to where they want to go while smiling and being happy and fulfilled.
Yeah. And that's, by the way, that book's called Surrounded by Idiots. It's actually quite a great definition because we all think we're surrounded by idiots, but they're actually just on a different color to us. And some people we relate to, but they're probably the same color as us. Yeah. And then some people we just are so irritated by. Like, for instance, for me, not irritated, but you just don't get them. For me, my worst is, and my opposite color, I think, is blue. And blue's the opposite. So, when a person starts talking about detail, I'm like totally thrown off. But I've had to adjust. Yeah, I've had to adjust when in doing business and stuff, and I meet someone and I pick up, quite quickly I can pick up the different colors and I can pick up that type of personality. Then I know, okay, I need to do a lot more detail and explanation about what I'm talking about with that type of person. Yeah. And I think if a person, I think actually it would sort out a lot of the world's problems if we could understand that we're not dealing with people and we're reacting to their personality. Yeah. And if we understand what their personality really is about, then we're able to communicate a lot easier through to those people. And so I really think that insights part and what you guys do there is really important. And even if people are listening now and you're not interested in going a whole life coach part, but the point is, if you can just get the personality side, you're going to sort out a hell of a lot of issues that you've got with your spouse, your children, with everybody around you. And then there's another one that you did with me with numbers. What was that one? What's that one about? Like I'm number 9 or something like that. And that was actually very interesting and it actually broke down a lot of actually who I am, which was very interesting. So what is that part?
Yeah, so that was numerology.
Yeah.
That is basically, it's all around numbers. So taking the date of your birth, adding it all up, and then you get a number at the end, so 1 to 9, and that will give you your life path. So it's all connected to the universe and a whole bunch of other things, and astrology as well. So we did a bit of a combination of your astrology chart as well as numerology. So astrology would be also the exact time and day that you were born, where you were born, and your birthday as well. It's also to do with the numbers combined. That's how we can actually see what your life path is. Look, some people are really into it. Some people think it's woo-woo, but I mean, if you think about it, we're all affected by the planets, the stars. You know, everything is affected by everything.
There's a science to it. I mean, you look at people that are born in January, for instance, like I'm born in Jan. We went to school usually a year earlier than everybody else. So that whole growing up process, I was dealing with guys older than me, a year or maybe 6 months, whatever. But I was always the youngest in the class. And you kind of build like a resilience against everybody, because you're competing on a higher level than what you mature at.
Yeah.
And then you get people that are born in winters, where everybody's maybe moody, and you get people born in summers where everybody's happy. So there must be a certain science to it. I'm not saying you've got to live your life to it and believe it that this is exactly the way, but there is definitely some form of connection to the time when you were born, which year you were born. There might have been a war on, there might have been something crazy happening. You could have been born in COVID, where you had your family by you 24/7. Now they've just left, and they've got a bunch of children that feel like their parents have left them. You know, there's so many incidents that could happen. So I do think there's a science to it. So, I mean, this that you showed me on the life path stuff, what does that mean to me? Or how do you bring it across to me, and how do you bring it part of our journey as a life coach?
You know, I think, first of all, it's to take these things sort of with a pinch of salt. And I say that only because you can't put somebody into a box, you know, like there's so many different factors. But what I have noticed is doing all of these different things. So it's the personality test, the numerology, astrology, like all the Myers-Briggs, everything, kind of doing all of it.
And we do all that while you're doing coaching, right? So, yeah.
It's just to give a general guideline on a direction that could help someone navigate their life and see where specific opportunities are, things that maybe they need to be aware of that might hold them back. It's just a guide. You know, there is a science behind it, but I think everybody has a unique blueprint, like a literal blueprint on this planet. The minute they are born, everything is aligned in a specific way. In that exact moment and at the time that you were born, we have that blueprint. It's like your stamp of this is who I am on this planet. And then everybody has that soul contract or that life path that, you know, it depends on what you believe in, that you've kind of come into this world to hold agreement to. And these tools are just as a broad guideline to see, okay, what should I make? What could actually help me reach my full potential? So for myself, is every time I do something along these lines, it always leads back to being some sort of helper, coach, being a teacher, being something that helps other people. So I know that I'm on the right path. And so that's why it's helpful in coaching as well, to help, you know, clients see, okay, I'm really, really lost. I've absolutely no idea. And I also wish I'd done this, you know, during school. I've absolutely no idea what I want to do with my life. It'll just kind of guide you to say you might be really good at being an entrepreneur or working with a lot of people, you know, with, again, taking it with a pinch of salt, because, I mean, we don't all really know 100% where all this comes from. You know, a lot of it's the universe, science. Yeah. It's a mixture of things, but it definitely does help.
I mean, I think one of the stuff in my side that we dealt a little bit with was I'm a giver, a person that loves to give. Yeah. And obviously with giving, then it's a very fine line, because am I giving with the right intention, number one, of which most of the time I feel I do give with the right intention, but sometimes the person that you're giving to or trying to assist, there's no reciprocation, right? So you're not getting your ego boosted because of the giving now, and now you start getting all upset about that, and that's type of stuff that you deal with during these times, and that was part of my number 9, right? Which is a person. I think it was with the giving, and there was a few other stuff as well. And that's how I got onto the whole podcasting, because I was talking to you about the podcast, and it totally aligned with what I want to, part of my alignment and my personality that goes with that, which is why we're doing these podcasts now, because I just love talking to people and understanding them. And for me, this is also more about, for me, it's about, I want to learn from people, and this is a great way to be able to learn from people. So, I mean, what you've taught me has been able to get me into this specific area in my life of what I'm doing right now. And so, do you get a lot of people that find that purpose quite quickly when they're having a chat to you?
Not necessarily, no. I think everybody's, some people feel really lost. Some people have absolutely no idea. So for some people it's very easy. And again, doing these sorts of things can help.
Yeah.
What I normally say to people is take the pressure off yourself. You have multiple purposes throughout your life. And your purpose changes as your values change, as you go through different things in your life. But I think, again, it comes down to, am I fulfilled and content? And if the answer is no, then, let's explore that. And so what I would say to people is just start off by just being really curious. Get curious about yourself. Get to know yourself. So yes, one avenue is to do all these different tests and whatever you feel resonates with you most. There's also Enneagram. There's many different things. So I would just do all of them. There's even the human design. And I think I was like the projector, I think it was, which means I have to ask for permission to give somebody advice, or because I've always felt like when I will try and say to somebody, oh, why didn't you do this? Or they often will shut me down, I've realized, in my life. And I think it's because I'm a projector, which means if somebody asks me for something, then I can give them advice. But I had to learn. I learned that through doing this test. It was amazing. So maybe look at doing all these things, because it gives me a general guideline of what lights me up. I mean, you doing this podcast now, you feel like it's lighting you up, right?
Yeah.
You feel like that feeling of, I'm aligned. Yeah. I'm aligned with my soul's purpose. So that's what these sorts of things can help you with. That's the one thing. And then you've got to decide, if I'm going to find that purpose, I have to start doing the research. Start reading self-development books. Oh, I don't like self-development books. But if you had to read 10 minutes 3 times a week, you see what I'm doing here? How easy is that? Because the more you start to learn about these beautiful things, this wonderful knowledge that's out there, the more we start taking this in, the more we start realizing, oh, I didn't think of things like that, or, oh, I can actually heal this part of myself, or, wow, this is how you actually do it, and it's so easy. And then I'm starting to get to know myself a little bit better. I then look at who I'm hanging around with. If I'm hanging around with toxic people, I'm going to attract more toxic situations into my life, the drama. I don't want that. So I start thinking about who I'm hanging out with. I start surrounding myself with successful people. I then start looking after my health a little bit better, because when I feel better, when I look better, when my mind sits, when I have more energy, when I have more focus, I have more energy and focus to start looking for more of this purpose, or becoming this better version of myself. So if I start looking at all these different areas, and it all comes from that curiosity of you know what, I'm on this planet, I might as well make the most of it. And I truly believe that we're all just here to have fun and create. That to me is that at the end of the day, I'm here to have fun and create.
Yeah.
And so what does that look like? And if the more curious I am, the more effort I put it into it, the more I start to get to know myself. And then I realize, I mean, I started studying coaching. I studied life coaching, I think I was about 26. I mean, I'm 28 now, but but I mean, I spent most of my 20s absolutely lost. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I know that's generally how it goes for most of us. But when I started getting curious, I started realizing that I liked actually helping other people, that I liked doing this coaching thing. I never would have found it if I wasn't curious. So I would say is, again, just take a step back, take the pressure off yourself, and just start learning about who you are. And the more you do that, the more you start figuring out, you start piecing things together, you start seeing opportunities, things are opening up for you, and, your whole life changes. And we have this thing called the reticular activating system. It's or RAS, and it's literally this filtering system in our mind, and it looks for more proof of whatever you tell it. So if you keep telling yourself, "Oh, I can't do that," or "I don't like exercise," I hate self-development books, your RAS will keep looking for more proof of that.
I'm not a morning person.
I'm not a morning person, yeah. And you start attracting all of these things into your life, and you will never change your life. You've got to be careful of what you're thinking and what's going on here.
Now, the brain's so powerful. I don't think people understand how powerful the brain is. And talking about now on the health side of things is I enjoy Huberman. It's Huberman, right?
Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's absolutely brilliant. And what are certain things that you do? What's your morning routines? What's your health routines? Is there certain vitamins you take? What do you do on a daily basis to ensure that your brain is perfect and that you don't have this haziness, and also your health, just the normal aspects of being healthier?
I wish it was that simple, because I will say that sometimes I wake up like a wreck. Like, I don't want to face this day, or like I'm so tired the whole day. So that happens. Also, you're dealing with hormones as well. So it's not always up to us 100%. But, and I accept that. Like, I accept a day that I'm not going to have a good day, and I just do the bare minimum, and I just do the things that make me happy. And then I'm like, I'll reset, and tomorrow's another day. So I wanted to put that forward first, because, nobody's perfect, and we all have our stuff, and we all have days where we don't feel good. But for the most part is when I wake up in the morning, first thing is a big glass of water. I mean, we dehydrated. So a big glass of water, and I now actually put a little bit of pink Himalayan salt in. You can also do coarse sea salt, I think, or Celtic salt. Little bit, not too much, because it doesn't feel very nice if you have too much. So I put that in my water, because then it helps your body absorb that water. It also helps fire up your neurons as well. So I do that first thing in the morning. And then I will try and wait about an hour before I have my first cup of coffee. You're supposed to wait about 90 minutes. And a lot of this comes from Huberman, actually. But I'm like, I can do an hour. I have a bit of my, have some coffee. And then I always try and read in the morning, because it sets me up for the day, helps me feel better. And then it just kind of like gets me on track for what I want to achieve. It's generally a self-development book, or either that or like a spiritual book. It just depends, how I'm feeling. But I'll always try and read before, and then I will try and train in the mornings. So you've got to decide, are you somebody who can go the whole day, not think about how much you don't like exercise, and then train in the afternoon, or do you need to train in the morning? So do what works for you. But I generally try and train in the morning, because I'm the person who goes like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to train in the afternoon. And so I start making excuses. So I'm like, just do it in the morning, get it over and done with. Train in the morning, and then I generally meditate. I stretch after I train, and then I meditate while I stretch. So then I would just listen to just something to like get me in the right space while I'm stretching, and I feel that like sets me up for the whole day. For breakfast, I generally will have more of a keto breakfast. So high fat, high protein, low starch, low carb, just for the morning. I do eat carbohydrates every day, but generally not in the morning because of the glucose spike. it keeps me focused for longer, it keeps me fuller for longer when I have a keto breakfast. And I also don't hit a slump in the afternoon. So having more of a keto breakfast really helps, especially if you're someone who hits slumps. Yeah. And then I will, see what I need to do for that day. I've always got my tasks and goals written out, and I kind of prioritize them, the ABC kind of structure, and see what are like the 3 things that I need to accomplish today, the 3 biggest things. Once that gets done, I can then focus on everything else. Because also procrastination comes in often with people because we put things off, obviously. We don't want to do the things that are most daunting or are boring. We always want to put that off. So my rule is every day, do the things you don't want to do first and the things that yield the greatest results. If I can get that done, I actually give my brain a relief. I feel relieved. I get a bit of a dopamine hit because I've now accomplished something, and then I can focus on the rest of the things. And then I just do my day-to-day, whether it's I do one-on-one coaching, a lot of it's online or in person. I do facilitation of workshops. So whether it's a leadership workshop or anything around soft skills or an insights workshop, I do a lot of things around that. Group coaching as well. So like little individual groups, I coach them as well. And then meetings and whatever else I need to do. And then in the evening, I just make sure that I meditate just before I go to bed. If I have energy, I'll read a little bit more. I meditate then from about 9:30 to 10, and that's where I'll listen to like isochronic tones, binaural beats, and then I have like a visualization process in that time. And so, because your subconscious mind is very programmable, or easily influenced. So yes, more easily influenced just before you go to bed and just when you wake up in the morning. So just before I go to bed, I start visualizing, the kind of life that I want to live, everything that I want in my life that I believe that I already have, the art of manifestation. I visualize all of that, and then I will go to sleep. So that's generally how my day goes.
So meditation you do twice a day. Why is meditation important?
Oh, it's not. No,
You caught me off guard there.
No, it's so vital for so many reasons. But a big part of it is it helps you tap into a theta state of mind. So we have our brain frequencies. Delta is when we're sleeping, beta or beta is when we are having this conversation now, when I'm awake. Theta is kind of when I'm visualizing something or just before I go to sleep, and alpha is like when I'm sort of daydreaming. So meditation will help you get into more of a theta state. Theta taps into the subconscious mind. So when I visualize or when I'm just, in fact, not even, so first is when I'm visualizing, it helps to reprogram the subconscious mind. But also and everyone meditates differently, I also meditate where I just don't think about anything, which is some people find very difficult.
Yeah.
So if that doesn't work for you, don't do it. Maybe do a guided meditation. But what I do is put on the binaural beats, and then I just try and think of nothing. And I find the best way to meditate is to allow the thoughts to come in. Don't like push them away, but almost see them as a ship passing by. And so when I see it as a ship passing by, I don't attach to the thought. Because what happens now, you attach to the thought and then you obsess about it. If I just kind of let the thought float away, the next thought comes in, that kind of helps keep me steady, and I don't feel like I'm letting myself down by not being able to meditate. It's the easiest way to do it. But from a perspective of what it does, it first of all helps you create the life that you want to live, because it gives you that direction. It helps you visualize. It helps you manifest. It helps you deal with stress and anxiety, because I'm not worried about the future or the past. I'm in the present, because you bring yourself back to the present all the time. So when I'm constantly doing that is I feel better about my life. I'm also able to remove the noise from my mind so that my brain actually gets to do its job and solve problems for me and help see things from a better, different perspective. If you are obsessing about things, if you're thinking all the time, overthinking, overanalyzing, analysis paralysis, if you're doing that constantly, you are actually doing yourself a disservice because you're not letting your brain solve the problem. So you've got to let that go. And that's why sometimes when you wake up in the morning, don't you sometimes find like you'll have a really great idea or something that seemed terrible yesterday, you've got the solution, or it doesn't seem so bad today.
Yeah.
And you feel like you can process it better. It's because you've given yourself that space to process it. Now you can do that with meditation as well. So, I mean, there are so many benefits, and you must just decide what works for you.
That's something I must start again. I must admit, when I was doing meditation, I really, I don't know, well, you know, I've got this ADHD, which is crazy. And then my mind's like 500 places at once. And with meditation, just being in that moment and then just focusing on my breath.
Yeah.
I literally can focus on my breath twice and then my mind's gone again. I got to bring it back. Yeah, like, got to bring it back again, and then I get another 2 times and it's gone again. But I've had to learn that I mustn't be upset with myself about it. I must just see it as a part, like you're saying, a passing thought.
Yeah.
And I must admit, it does bring like a form of calmness towards me right through the day. It's just, it brings about a lot more calmness. And even when you're going to sleep at night, it kind of brings down that brain activity that you can get a better night's sleep. And sleep's obviously one of the most important things as well that we need right now. But yeah, I wanted to ask you on people with ADHD, right? And I've seen so many people actually have ADHD now, a lot more. I don't know if it's just because we're more aware, but a lot of children are really battling with schooling and what's happening in their lives. And obviously ADHD is a really high amount of thought that goes in your brain. It's just like at a level. I was actually explaining the other day that I actually thought about it to myself. That's why I don't drink any caffeine anymore, or drink any drinks with caffeine or any stimulants, because my brain's already at a pace where a normal person's brain is when they're in a certain incident that occurs. So when you're in an incident of a hijack or something, your brain like runs around at 500 miles. That's how I feel a person with ADHD is on a normal day. And as soon as you start having a stimulant, then it just gets out of control. It's like you actually get nauseous on stimulants because you're thinking so much that you actually get to a point of kind of nausea feeling. And what are some things that you've come across for people with ADHD and how they can control that? Because it's a good thing to have ADHD, by the way, because you can also process a hell of a lot quicker than most, and you can make decisions based on that a lot quicker because you've thought of 500 events that have happened already. By the time a person takes 2 days, you can do it in a few seconds almost. So there's a good thing to it, but it's also a very bad thing because you don't get to concentrate. People think you are not present. You hear a person's name, but you can never remember their name. There's a lot of negatives to it. So what's your thinking on how can a person work, an ADHD person?
Yeah, I think again, it's about making it work for you. Everyone's an individual. In fact, I would say probably one of the best people to follow is Dr. Daniel Amen. And he does these brain scans, and he works a lot with people with ADHD. So he's a great person to follow. He's got great advice on ADHD. And, I would say is a routine. A routine is probably the most important thing, because I know, like, when I get up, this is what I'm doing, A, B, C. Because if I'm scattered, if I don't have any routine or direction, it's very easy for me to then, forget to do something, or I'm going to do this and then squirrel focus on that kind of thing, So trying to have a structure in your day, a routine, I think is probably one of the most important things where you can. I mean, obviously with life happening, it's it's not that easy to keep a routine. You've got to be quite flexible, but as much as you can, that will help. And a big thing is literally what you're talking about is what you're consuming is the stimulants. Yes, the caffeine, the sugary sweets, drinks, all these good things. Also, giving your brain the vital brain food that it needs. So eating the right foods makes a big difference. Getting like your omega-3s in, things like walnuts, avocados, salmon, all the good things, the whole grains, the good things that helps with your gut as well. This also helps you manage your ADHD. So you've got to look at from that perspective. And again, is don't be too hard on yourself, because you will see it as a lot of people will see it as a curse. It's holding me back, but actually it can, and you are a strong case of this, is what you can actually do when you make your ADHD work to your advantage. I mean, you can achieve things you never thought possible, but it's about understanding who you are, having a good routine in place, not being so hard on yourself, and giving yourself the right kind of nourishment that you need. I think that makes a really, really big difference. And then also looking at maybe working with somebody, working with a coach that maybe specializes in ADHD. That can also really, really be helpful because maybe they also have it generally, so they can relate to you more and they can help you get through that. So, and then for some people it is, yes, being on medication does actually help them focus, and they know when I take it for certain reasons. I need to focus at this time. If I need to study, you take it when you need to. Maybe you don't. Maybe you find other things work for you. But I think it's about getting to know who you are and what works best for you, and then working with the right people to help you manage your life as best as possible.
Great. So, Jessica, thanks for the time. We've run through this time so quickly.
So fast.
And it's been so good. But I mean, what we do on our podcast is the person that was my last guest asks a question for the following guest, not knowing who they are. And our previous guest has asked the following question, which is, what is your biggest fear in life? And where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Oh, wow. Sheesh. What is my biggest fear in life? And see myself in 5 years. Okay. My biggest fear would be to lose my happiness. I have spent a lot of my life being very unhappy, very unhappy. I had very low self-worth, low self-esteem, didn't believe in myself at all. And then I found this new reality. I found being a coach, and I have never felt so much fulfillment and happiness in my life. And I generally feel happy. Like, I love waking up every day. I'm so grateful for my life. I feel really, really happy all the time. Besides my ups and downs as being a human being is, obviously, but for the most part. So I think my biggest fear would be to lose that again and to go back to any kind of life that I had before. But that's why I make sure that it doesn't happen, and I do things every day that keep me happy. Where do I see myself in 5 years? I think still doing exactly what I'm doing, but maybe on a bigger scale. I love also doing motivational speaking. I'm in the process of writing a book, so see where things like that go. But I think, I would say just doing what I'm doing, hopefully with a little family as well. And I would say, I'm just really, really happy where I am. So wherever this, and also like where it takes me is, I'm happy with as well, because it's been such an amazing ride that I just trust that everything's happening for my higher good and everything will lead me to the most beautiful place. So that's what I would say.
It's beautiful. Jessica, thanks for your time today.
Sean.
We really had a great time and a good chat. And I'm sure I'm going to bring you on a few more times that we can have a chat about, just about psychology and brain waves and health and everything that goes with it. So very exciting.
Things.
Yeah, so much to talk about. But it was great having you today. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, and have a lekker day.